Om. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tumeva Madha cha Pita Tvameva Tumeva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tumeva Vidya Dravinam Tumeva Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma Tumeva Sarvam Amriteshwari Ma. Om Amriteshwari Namah. We'll begin with a short meditation. Kindly sit straight and make sure your vertebral column and spinal column is erect. It gives you more concentration and also the flow of energy. And so it'll help for you to sit in the correct posture also. Slowly close your eyes. Try to bring your awareness on your breathing. Breathing normally, but with fully aware of each and every inhalation and exhalation that occurs through your body. Just be an observer, watching every breath coming in and going out. As you watch your breath, you'll also start relaxing and feel completely relaxed. And now we'll chant Om 3 times. As we chant Om, Om is the primordial sound, the sound of the universe. And feel the oneness with everything in this world as you chant Om. And also visualize the vibrations of Om cleansing your body, your mind, and the atmosphere around you. Now kindly take a deep breath. feel the reverberations of Om in each and every part of your body. And feel further relaxation as a result of this. Once again, bring your awareness on your breathing. Breathing normally and fully aware. And now as you breathe in, chant the syllable, the mantra, Ma, silently, along with your in-breath. And when you exhale, when you breathe out, chant Om. So Ma, when you breathe in, and Om, when you breathe out. Ma is a representation of divine love, and Om of divine light. You need not visualize love and light. Just feel it in your heart being filled by that divine love and light. And continue for some time like this. Ma. Om. Ma. Om. And please continue. Slowly and slowly the reverberations of Ma and Om become more and more subtler. You can just feel the vibration rather than the physical sound of Ma and Om inside of you. Now feel your heart expanding with the love and the light. Imagine your heart unfolding like a beautiful bud turns into a flower and blossoms into a beautiful flower. Feel the love, feel the light, feel the bliss and the peace. Now visualize a ray of light. Fill with that love, with that peace, with that bliss and silence and compassion going out from your heart. Just like the rays of the sun, and it falls on all the beings in this world. And as it falls, imagine they also become more loving, more peaceful, more blissful and more compassionate. And while imagining so, we'll chant the Lokaha Samastaha prayer 9 times, which means let all the beings in this world become happy and peaceful. Om Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Dhyayamo Dhavlavagundhanavadim Tejomayim Naishtikim Snigdha Pangavilokinim Bhagavatim Mandasmidhashremukhim Valsalyamritavarshinim Sumadhuram Sankirtanalapinim Shamangim Madhusekta Suktim Amrita Nundatmikam Ishwarim Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parambaram Srude Smriti Purananam Alayam Arunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Bhadarayanam Sutrabhashya Kridau Vande Bhagavandau Punah Punah Ishwarau Guru Ragmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagini Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha Om Amriteshwarye Namaha Om Amriteshwarye Namaha Om Amriteshwarye Namaha. In the last session, we saw that Mahabali had completely surrendered to Lord Vishnu, who had come in the form of Vamana, means a small boy. And Vamana had asked only for 3 foot of land, and after which to measure, Lord Vishnu grew into such a huge personality that with 1 foot he could measure all of earth and all the physical realms. With the 2nd foot he could measure the subtler realms like the hell and heaven. And finally he asked Mahabali that where should I keep my 3rd foot? Because he had promised. So Mahabali said to put it on his head, which was the seat of the ego. So that is the real meaning behind this. And Lord Vishnu was very pleased. And however, earlier Lord Vishnu had tried to persuade him. Before that, Shukracharya, his guru, had persuaded him not to keep his promise, because Shukracharya told him it's Vishnu himself, the Supreme Being himself, who is coming in this form to fool you and ask you for this. And he said the consequences will be like that. And so Mahabali refused to listen to this. And finally, it happened like this. And when it was done, Mahavishnu asked Mahabali that, why did you do this? So you could have just wriggled out of your promise and not given me all these things. So Bali was saying that, I am equally resolved to keep my words not to be false. And my speech should never end up in deception, as thou hast practiced. So he said, just like you practice, my speech should not end up in deception. And he said, you might send me to hell, or you might send me to sorrow, you might send me to poverty, but that is less intense than keeping up my word, because the punishment inflicted by a holy personage like Mahavishnu has to be welcomed than shunned. And so he says that he's also saying that you are also the supreme teacher of the asuras also, not only devas, asuras also. And it is you who give us enlightenment through downfall. So whether I'm going up or down, it doesn't matter to me because you're taking me to enlightenment. And also, so there are also, he's saying that his four fathers, the people in his lineage, had reached utmost concentration by antagonism to Mahavishnu, as I was saying, the earlier Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, and all these things. They, because of their hatred towards Mahavishnu, they could achieve the same goal as the yogis did. And he's saying that the yogis did it through exclusive devotion, but whereas they did it through anger and hatred to the Lord. And he was saying that my grandfather, his grandfather Prahlada, was so reputed for devotion. And so he was thinking that what is the good of keeping this body that has to die in the end in spite of all care if one takes of it? And what good are the sons who are only plunderers of your wealth and of relatives who are only enemies in friendly disguise? And so he is going saying that all these preoccupations only help the ebbing way of the short span of one's life. And so he says that thus thinking like this, his grandfather, that is Prahlada, was a saintly personage, and he abandoned association with his own people, who are the asuras, and took shelter at your feet. And so it's a fortunate circumstances that providence has brought me close to thee. And he's saying that for its wealth and prosperity that stupefy the mind of a man, make him forget the truth, and he is ever in the jaws of death. So then, now we see Prahlada coming into the sea. As Sri Shuka said, while Bali was speaking thus, his grandfather Prahlada, the darling of the Lord, arrived at the spot shining like the newly risen full moon. Bali now saw before him his own grandfather, resplendent with auspicious glory, lotus-eyed, tall, dressed in yellow robes, brilliantly black like antimony, and long-armed and very handsome in appearance. But being bound by Varuna's cords, Bali could not do full obeisance to his grandfather as usual. So you remember that Garuda had, at the behest of knowing his master, that is Vishnu's thought, had completely tied Bali with Varuna's cord. So he could not move. So what he did, he bent down his head in salutation to his grandfather with tears in his eyes and his face downcast. On seeing the Lord Mahavishnu waited upon by his attendants like Sunanda and Nanda, the high-souled Prahlada approached him with head bowed down in devotion and fell down prostrate at his feet with tears in his eyes and horripilation all over his body. And Prahlada said, "The glory of Indrahood was bestowed on him by thee alone. Thou hast now deprived him of it. This will be for his good in the long run. It is a great blessing bestowed on him, for he has now been bereft of prosperity, which often infatuates a man and brings about his spiritual insensitivity. And the blindness of pride consequent on prosperity affects even a man learned and established in self-control. Who is the man that can keep level-headed in prosperity and stick to the spiritual path? And salutations to thee, Narayana, the witness and the Lord of all worlds." So Prahlada is now praising the Lord, saying that look, you gave him everything. You made him the king of all the three worlds. You made him the Indra, the king of heaven. And now you have taken it away. And by taking it away, actually you have blessed him also. Why? Because he says prosperity brings in this infatuation in men, and which creates spiritual insensitivity. And so what happens is, he says that even learned people and established in self-control can go wrong or go stray away from the path of spirituality by the blindness of pride that is created by the prosperity of wealth. So he's saying, oh Lord, it's so fortunate that you took it away from him. So here, we have to say that there's a beautiful saying by Christ, right? What is that? Do you remember? A rich man cannot? Cannot what? Enter? No, pass through the eye of the needle. Just like the camel. So he's saying that even a camel can pass through the eye of the needle, but a rich man cannot. So that's where he's saying that, because why? This is the exact saying. He's saying, Prahlada is saying here. And a rich man cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And so, by taking away the prosperity, is actually giving him something else which is much greater than that. So Sri Shuka said, O king, Brahma was now about to speak to the Lord, Brahma the creator and the destroyer of Madhu, in the hearing of Prahlada, who was standing there with joined palms. But he was interrupted by Vindhyavali, the faithful wife of Bali, who was in the throes of fear to see her husband bound up. Bowing down before the Lord Vamana, and with face downcast, she spoke to the Lord. And Vindhyavali said, O Lord, for thy sport, thou hast created these three worlds. Men of perverted intelligence consider themselves masters in this world which belongs to thee. Such people who shamelessly consider themselves masters and free agents, what have they got as their own to offer thee, who art the one agent, the one Lord, and the one destroyer of this whole universe? So she's saying, this is Vindhyavali, the wife of Mahabali. See, just seeing that her husband has been bound, just see that how much devotion she also has. She's not having any hatred towards the Lord. And she's also saying that people of perverted intelligence consider themselves masters of the world, whereas who is the real master? It is you. And you are the creator, you are the sustainer, and you are also the destroyer. And Brahma, now the creator, said, O creator and Lord of all. And he himself is calling the Supreme Consciousness Mahavishnu as the creator. O Supreme Being who indwells everything, all the possessions of Bali have been taken away. He does not deserve to be bound. Deign to release him from fetters. The whole of earth, the higher worlds attained through karma, all his wealth and power and his own body, all these he has offered to thee as gift without any regret. And by making an offering of water, followed by some tender shoots of durva grass, with faith and purity of mind, devotees attain to the highest state, the Vaikunta. How then can he, Bali, who has made an offering of all the three worlds at thy feet, without the least hesitation, deserve this suffering and humiliation? So Brahma, the creator, is saying, look, what happens when the devotees do yajna, sacrifice? They take water and put it in the kusha grass and pour it onto the earth, right? Chanting mantras. And he's saying even such people go to your abode, just offering water to you, nothing else. But look at Mahabali. He has offered all the three worlds to you and also his own head. And why don't you just release him from the fetters which has been bound on him? And now the Lord said, Brahma is addressing Brahma, the creator. Whomever I really wish to bless, I first take off his wealth. For wealth makes a man proud and arrogant, as a result of which he is led to insult the world and myself. So subject as the jiva is to his own karma, he transmigrates from the compulsion of karma from species to species and from body to body until at some distant date he gets a human body by my grace. And if you find a man free from pride and arrogance in spite of being in favorable circumstances in respect of birth, works, age, beauty of form, learning and wealth, know that it's only by my grace. So he says, look, he's telling Brahma very beautifully. This is also a question that many people ask. When people worship Lord Krishna or Vishnu, they always say that the Lord takes away the wealth. And the Lord makes them a pauper. And so, why is that? So, some people say, oh, no, you should not worship Lord Vishnu. Instead, you should worship Lord Devi Mahalakshmi, who is the goddess of wealth. So, that's what people say. So, he's saying that, why does he take away the wealth? He says, I first take away the wealth. Why? Because wealth makes a man proud and arrogant, and as a result of which he is going to insult the world and God. So what happens? Such a jiva, that is an individual soul, he transmigrates by the compulsion of karma from one species to another, and then from one body to another until he gets a human body by the grace of the Lord. So he say that if you find somebody like that without pride or arrogance, that is only through the Lord's grace. And however, a person who is devoted to me never gets infatuated, even when favored by high birth, prosperity, etc., which generally generate pride and arrogance in others and block all their spiritual progress. Such was the case with the great devotees like Dhruva, Prahlada, and others. So, people who have high birth, means they are born in a good family, a wealthy family. It's just like Prahlada. Prahlada's father was the king. And Dhruva's father was also a king. So he was born into a royal family. But in spite of that, because of his devotion to the Lord, he did not have that arrogance. So he is saying that who is devoted to the Lord will not have any arrogance, even though they get higher births. And this Mahabali, who is the leader of the Daityas, that is the Asuras and Danavas, and an ornament enhancing the reputation of his people, has conquered even my Maya, which is difficult for anyone to overcome. For he has remained absolutely unruffled and unconcerned, even in the face of total downfall and persecution. Even though reduced to poverty, expelled from his position, put in fetters by the enemy, deserted by friends, and scolded and cursed by his preceptor, Mahabali, firm in his vow of truth, did not break his promise. Even the false interpretation of dharma given by me could not budge him an inch away from the righteous path. So he's saying, look at this Mahabali, how great he is. So he's talking about the greatness of Mahabali. He has conquered Maya. That is the power of the Lord only, which is. So he's saying he has remained totally unconcerned in the face of total destruction. He was reduced to poverty, and he was expelled from his position of being a king, and then he was imprisoned, and then he was cursed by his preceptor, Mahabali. Preceptor, who is it? Shukracharya. That is his guru. And then what happened? The Lord, not only that, finally tested him by giving the false interpretation of dharma, saying you can do this, you can do that. So if you want to, you can break your promise. But Mahabali never relented from going away from the righteous path. So he says, I am giving him who is entirely resigned to me a boon which is difficult to get even by a celestial. He will become the Indra in the age of Manu Savarni. So first of all, he is given several boons. So the first boon that Mahavishnu gives him is that he says in the age of Manu, as I was telling you, in different ages, different Manus come. So in the age of Manu Savarni, he will become the Manu, and he will be installed as the Manu. And so Manu means who will be the king of all the subjects and all the beings in the world. Until then, let him live in the realm called Sutala, in which there are many handiworks of the heavenly architect Vishwakarma. And those who live there shall, due to my gracious concern for them, be free from every kind of difficulty, worry, disease, weakness, lethargy, defeat, and the like. So, as I was saying earlier, generally the notion in Kerala was that, according to the story, he was pushed into hell by Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu did not push him to hell. He's saying, you go and live in Sutala. And what is the peculiarity of Sutala? So he says, you will be free from worry, you will be free from disease, you will be free from weakness, you will be free from lethargy, defeat, and the like. So it's giving such a beautiful place to live. And not only that, he's saying this, O Mahabali, great ruler, may you prosper. Along with all your friends, relatives, and dependents, go to Sutala, which even the residents of Swargaloka long to reach. So even the people, Swargaloka means the heaven, they long to reach Sutala. And so you go there. And none will be able to overpower you there, not even the guardian deities of the worlds. And if any Asura dares to challenge you, that person will be destroyed by my divine discus Sudarshana. So he's saying, I am going to protect you with my Sudarshana. The chakra, Sudarshana chakra is weapon. And if anybody dares to challenge you, they will be destroyed by that. And not only that, he says, I shall be affording protection to you and your people residing at Sutala. You will ever feel my presence there. And so what will happen? He's saying not only that, I will be there as the guardian to you. I will be there standing guard to the gate as the gatekeeper. And he says, residing there amidst Daityas and Danavas, whatever Asuric tendency you may happen to contract from them will all be weakened and obliterated immediately by the consciousness of my divine majesty. So what else do you need? He says, even if you have any Asuric tendency, it will be completely gone by the time you reach there. So that this notion that Mahabali was sent to hell is completely wrong. And so Lord Vishnu is sending him to Sutala, where even the people in the heavens are wanting to reach there, or wish to reach there. And Vishnu himself will be the guard there. And Sri Shuka said, to the Supreme Being who spoke thus, the high-souled Bali, the object of admiration for all good and righteous people, replied in choked voice and in a mood of surging emotion of bhakti, with his palms joined in adoration and with his eyelids dropping with heavy downpour of blissful tears. Bali said, thy grace is generally bestowed on those who surrender themselves to thee. But lo, thou hast been pleased to bestow on me that grace, although I have hardly taken the first step of self-surrender, namely making a devoted prostration to thee. So he says, remember, when Vamana came, he did not even prostrate to Vamana, though he welcomed him. As I say, usually, this what you have given is reserved for devotees, bhaktas. And when they have revered you, they do so many of devotional practices, they are given this. But look at me, I have not even prostrated, and you have given me all these boons. And by merely taking a resolve to make thee a prostration, I, an Asura, and the meanest of them have been vouchsafed a blessing which even the guardian deities had never had till now. And Sri Shuka said, saying so, Bali, who was now free from bondage, made prostrations to Hari, Brahma, and Parameswara, and went joyfully to Sutala with his followers. So he prostrated to Lord Vishnu, that is, who's the sustainer, Brahma, the creator, and Lord Shiva, the destroyer, and went to Sutala with his followers. And in this way, the worshipful Lord restored the heavenly region to Indra and fulfilled the prayer of Aditi. And as the brother of Indra, that is Upendra, he protected the three worlds. So not only that, he protected Indra, and he was stood there also as guard to Indra. And seeing Bali, his grandson and the preserver of the continuity of his line, freed from bondages and favored by the Lord, Prahlada said as follows with fervent devotion. A blessing of this kind has never been the privilege of Brahma, nor of Sri, nor of Shiva, nor of any others. For thou, who art the object of adoration of divinities like Brahma, whom the whole world reveres, has undertaken to be the gatekeeper of us, Asuras, offering us protection from all others. O granter of protection, Brahma and other divinities enjoy the rulership of the worlds by virtue of the power they have gained through the service of thy lotus feet. But it is a wonder that even we Asuras, born of evil wombs and given to evil ways, have become the objects of thy condescension. Thy mercy is indeed unconditioned and limitless. So he's saying, praising the Lord, and he's saying, we can understand if you had given all these things to a person who was a devotee. But look at us Asuras. We don't even deserve it because we are your enemies. And not only that, what you are standing there as the gatekeeper protecting us. And he says, wonderful is thy play, consisting in the manifestation of this infinitely vast universe through the sportive functioning of thy Yogamaya. So too is a mystery how thou, the savior of the whole universe and even cited to all, could have a nature favoring some called thy devotees and some others who are said to be antagonistic and who disregard thee. This is not partiality. For thou art like the Kalpataru, the wish-fulfilling heavenly tree in thy love of devotees. For the Kalpataru is open to all to resort to and get its favor. And if some do not do so, the Kalpataru cannot be blamed as partial to those who resort to it and get its favor. It is equally open for others also to do so. So he's saying, this Yoga Maya is so wonderful. And it's also very mysterious. Your Yoga Maya is very mysterious also. But it is also even-sighted, means it's given to everybody. And it's just like the wish-fulfilling tree in heaven known as Kalpataru. So you go under this tree and wish for anything, you will desire for that, you will get it. But he's saying that you cannot blame people who do not go to the tree and say that, this tree has been partial. And similarly, if you do not go to the Lord and the wishes are not fulfilled, you cannot blame that the Lord is also partial to some people or his devotees only. Then the Lord said, Prahlada dear, may you be happy and prosperous. You too go to Sutala. There you can be happy with this grandson of yours and benefit all your relatives. There you will see me every day with mace in my hand, guarding the place. The bliss arising from this vision of me will shatter your bondage of ignorance. So he's sending also Prahlada to Sutala, where Bali went. And he says, there you will see me every day. And holding the mace and protector. And just that darshan is enough to create such bliss in your mind. So please go to Sutala. And so Prahlada accepted the Lord's order with complete submission. And along with Bali, he then worshipped and circumambulated the Lord and left for Sutala with his consent. Then Hari, known as also as Narayana, as I said, there are different names. Hari, Narayana, Krishna, Vamana, all these names are the same. It is for the same supreme consciousness. Addressed Sri Shuka, who was seated among the sacrificial priests. The Lord said, O Holy One, it was Sri Shukracharya, not Shuka. So this is Shukracharya, the guru of the demons, the asuras. And he said, O Holy One, please perform what is required to expiate the breach of ritual that has taken place in your disciples' yajna by these incidents. Even the look of a Holy One is sufficient to rectify such faults in rites. So he's saying, look, please continue with, they were doing that Ashwamedha Yaga. Remember? So that's what they were doing for Mahabali. And now it has been it has been stopped. There is a breach in the ritual because now Bali has been sent to Sutala by the Lord. So what happened was, Mahavishnu says, just continue with that yajna, but just a look from the Holy One is sufficient to rectify such faults in the rites. So that's one good thing, like even if we are doing many wrong things, sometimes people ask this question, right? When I'm not doing the pronunciation of the Sahasranama, the 1,000 names correctly, or when I think I'm not chanting the mantra correctly. So one look from Amma is enough to rectify all these things. That's all that is needed. So he's saying, Lord Mahavishnu is saying, don't worry about it, just continue. And the sage Shukra said, O Lord, how can there be any flaw in the rite when thou, the operator of all sacrifices, the bestower of the fruits of all sacrifices, and the embodiment of all sacrifices, has been devoutly worshipped and propitiated by the offering of all his possessions by Bali, the master of his sacrifice. He's saying, how can you say there is a problem? There has been a break. There has been a breach. Because why? Bali has offered everything to you. And this is what happens at the end of Yajna. And so he has given everything to you. And whatever defects arise in a rite out of the mantras uttered, rituals followed, time, place, and recipients of gifts, it's all corrected by the recital of thy names. What then to speak of the perfection that would be effected by a worship consisting in the total offering of all of one's possession to thee? So he's saying, even if we wrongly recite the mantras and do the rituals not following the proper order, and it's all corrected by just the recital of your name. But then what to see about this great person who offered all his possessions to you? Oh, all-powerful one, still I shall certainly carry out the command that thou hast given. For the highest good of man consists in carrying out thy commands. So what is the highest good? Whatever Mahavishnu says or whatever the Guru says, that is the highest command. So he says, I will do that because it is going to benefit everybody. Accepting the command of Hari, the learned Rishi Shukra, with the help of other rishis, did the rites necessarily to complete the obstructed sacrifice of Bali. Thus, O king, Hari restored the heavenly region to Indra, his brother, by begging it of the enemies of Indra who had captured it from him. So now Indra has been restored. How? Mahavishnu actually went for begging to Bali. He did not capture it through war or by killing other people. So he just went, asked for it, begged for it, and he got it. That's why he's saying it was restored back to Indra. And all the divine personages assembled there, Brahma, the Lord of all Prajapatis, the Devas, that is the gods, Rishis, the sages, Pitris, the ancestors, Manus, the Bhrigu, Angiras, Sanaka and his group, Sri Parameshwara, that is Lord Shiva, all together crowned Vamana, who had incarnated for fulfilling the wishes of Kashyapa and Aditi, as also for the good of the whole world, as the overlord of all the worlds and of the guardian deities of different regions. So he was also crowned as the king of the three worlds. And for the welfare of all beings, they made Vamana, known also Upendra, or the brother of Indra, the overlord, as he had the power to protect and espouse the cause of spiritual values and institutions like Vedas, the Devas, Dharmas, holiness, welfare, auspicious vows and rites, Swarga, that is heaven, and liberation. O king, all creatures alike were full of joy on this occasion. And along the path of the Devas, that is Devayana, Indra now entered heaven, preceded by the august Vamana, blessed by Brahma, and accompanied by the guardian deities of the region. So he's saying, now Vamana is also known as Upendra, and that is the brother of Indra. And because why? He's protecting the Vedas, the Dharma, and the welfare of the holy people, and that is the Swarga, that is heaven, and liberation, that is final emancipation. And Indra now follows Devayana, that is the path of the gods, and recovering the three worlds now under the protection of Upendra's arms, Indra attained to unending wealth and prosperity and enjoyed them without any fear. And all the visiting divinities, Brahma, Parameshwara, Sanaka and his group, Bhrigu and the other rishis, and the devas in their chariots returned to their respective abodes, singing on the way with great devotion about the glory of the Lord as revealed in these wonderful achievements of his, and also expressing their great regard and admiration for Aditi, the mother of Vamana. So now, when they were going back, they were all singing the praises of the great Supreme Lord, saying how he had regained the power for Indra without doing anything much, just by begging and singing the praises of the Lord. So he says, O Parikshit, now Shuka, Sri Shuka, that is who is now narrating to Parikshit, says, O Parikshit, the delight of your clan. So Parikshit belongs to the clan of Prahlada. And so he's saying, to the delight of your clan, I have narrated to you in the full the incidents connected with the Lord's incarnation as Vamana, which erases the sins of those listening to their recital. So it will erase the sins of the people who listen to it. How does it get erased? Sins gets erased. So at least during this time, you're listening to the the glories of the Lord. And your mind is immersed in those glories. Your mind is thinking about the Lord. So at least during that time, you are not having any negative thoughts. And infinite is his glory. He who seeks to find out the limits of it should have first exhausted, counting the particles of dust constituting the earth. Of such inconceivable might and excellences is he, rightly has Vasishtha endowed with the insight for discovering spiritual truth declared. Where is the man born till now that has sounded the depth of his greatness? And surely there is none that will be able to do so in the future too. And he who hears the account of this incarnation of Hari, the Lord of all divinities and the one of wonder-evoking deeds, will attain to the highest goal open to the jiva. So what is now there, as I was saying earlier, in every scripture, every chanting, there is a phalasruti. What you get by doing this. So this is the phalasruti they're talking about. So once you hear the incarnations of the God, what will happen? You will attain to the highest goal open to a jiva, means an individual soul. How do you attain? By evoking devotion to the Supreme Lord. And if at whatever rite or work devoted to the devas or pitris or men, this account of the Lord's incarnation is expounded or recited, that rite or action will become complete and perfect its defects, if any, being made good by the spiritual efficacy of the Lord's name and the deeds. So even if what happens is, if you are conducting a yajna, if you are conducting a spiritual practice, and if this story is told at that time, all the problems that has been created by mistakes or mistakes created by wrongdoings will be completely effaced, completely wiped out, and that spiritual worship or the performance that you are doing will actually be beneficial to all. So such is the greatness of these stories. That is what they are saying. If you just merely listen to these stories. So one sense, one may ask this question, just by listening to the stories, is that enough? No, definitely not. You need to work, right? But listening is the first part where you get the inspiration to do the spiritual work, to do spiritual practices. So when you hear about these stories, when you hear that, there are people who did not even do much and attained to the Lord, then definitely you will put some effort into your spiritual practices. And even that little spiritual practice that you put it will take you to much further place than what if you had not done so. So the Lord is saying that, Sri Shuka is saying that, it's by listening to these stories that is said in the Bhagavatam, it should give you encouragement to do spiritual practices. And by following those spiritual practices, you will reach to a place where it will take you further in advance to the final emancipation or enlightenment. Or it will straight away take you there. Also, it can straight away take you there, because you might have, who knows how much is left of your prarabdha or your sanchita karma. You might not have too much karma, right? And you will see that in the other stories also, here they are talking about, there are many stories where the karma has been so less, and what happens to this is these souls who had done so much of bad karma, when they died, they could not go to higher realms because of the actions of their past. So what they did was, just by listening to these stories of Bhagavatam, the soul, that is the you can say the subtle body of these souls, attained to higher realms, and also they were able to take, some of them were able to take human body, which is such a fortunate or a real blessing. So this is what as Rishi Shuka says here. Shuka is saying this, that listen, if you just listen to these stories, that's enough. And it will definitely take you to much higher realms. So we will stop here for today, because the next chapter is about how Mahavishnu regained the earth. Also as another incarnation as the fish. So, and why did he take that incarnation as a fish? So, anyway, I hope this, these stories also give you some kind of inspiration to give more importance to your spiritual practice. And as I said, it's not merely enough, but listening to these stories definitely will give the energy to move forward. And may Amma's blessings be with all of us. Om Amriteshwari Namah. अमृतानंदमयी जय जय सद्गुरु रूपिणी माँ, मंगलकारिणी माँ, वंदे करुणा निर्झरी माँ।
अमृतानंदमयी जय जय सद्गुरु रूपिणी माँ, मंगलकारिणी माँ, वंदे करुणा निर्झरी माँ।
अमृतानंदमयी जय जय सद्गुरु रूपिणी माँ, मंगलकारिणी माँ, वंदे करुणा निर्झरी माँ।
अमृतानंदमयी जय जय सद्गुरु रूपिणी माँ, मंगलकारिणी माँ, वंदे करुणा निर्झरी माँ।
प्रेम तरंगिणी माँ जय जय विमल सुहासिनी माँ,
प्रेम तरंगिणी माँ जय जय विमल सुहासिनी माँ,
शुभ्रावरणल से वंदे ज्योति सुकेशिनी माँ, अमृतानंदमयी
जय जय सद्गुरु रूपिणी माँ, मंगलकारिणी माँ, वंदे करुणा निर्झरी माँ।
सत्य स्वरूपिणी माँ जय जय नित्य निरंजिनी माँ,
सत्य स्वरूपिणी माँ जय जय नित्य निरंजनी माँ।
शक्ति महेश्वरी माँ वंदे भक्तिरसोन्मानि माँ,
अमृतानंदमयी जय जय सद्गुरु रूपिणी माँ, मंगलकारिणी माँ, वंदे करुणा निर्झरी माँ।
कर्म विधायिनी माँ नित्यमधर्म विभञ्जिनी माँ,
कर्म विदायिनी माँ, नित्यमधर्म विभञ्जिनी माँ।
जगदोद्धारिणी माँ वन्दे जगत्सञ्जारिणी माँ,
अमृतानंदमयी जय जय सद्गुरु रूपिणी माँ, मंगलकारिणी माँ, वंदे करुणा निर्झरी माँ।
सद्गुरु ज्ञानमयी जय जय त्याग निदर्शिनी माँ,
सद्गुरु ज्ञानमयी जय जय त्याग निदर्शिनी माँ।
दुःख विमोचिनी माँ वन्दे सद्गतिदायिनी माँ,
अमृतानंदमयी जय जय सद्गुरु रूपिणी माँ, मंगलकारिणी माँ, वंदे करुणा निर्झरी माँ।
प्रेम तरंगिणी माँ जय जय विमल सुहासिनी माँ,
प्रेम
विभञ्जिनि मा
कर्मविधायिनि मा नित्यमधर्मविभञ्जिनि मा
जगदोद्धारिणि मा वन्दे जगत्सञ्चारिणि मा गुरु ज्ञानमयी जय जय त्याग निधर्षिणि मा
गुरु ज्ञानमयी जय जय त्याग निधर्षिणि मा
दुःख विमोदिनि मा वन्दे सद्गतिदायिनि मा अमृतानंदमयी जय जय सद्गुरुरूपिणि मा मंगलकारिणि मा वन्दे करुणानिर्झरि मा करुणानिर्झरि मा
वन्दे करुणानिर्झरि मा
वन्दे करुणानिर्झरि मा
वन्दे करुणानिर्झरि मा
कुम्भोदर वरदा गजमुखा शम्भकुमारा गणपति भगवन् शम्भकुमारा गणपति भगवन् कुम्भोदर वरदा शिवसदना अंगर संभवा संगडहरणा नल्गदि अरुळुक शिवसदना വിയലും ഇൻപമോടടിയനിൽ ശങ്കരസൂനു കനിയണമേ ശങ്കരസൂനു കനിയണമേ കുംഭോദര വരദാ ജമുഖ
ശംഭുകുമാര ഗണപതി ഭഗവൻ ശംഭുകുമാര ഗണപതി ഭഗവൻ
വരദാ ആദിനാഥനേ ഭവനദി തരണ കരുണാലയമയ ശുഭദഹരേ
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 ആനന്ദാമൃത വിഘ്നവിനായക കൃപയരുളീടുക ദുരിതഹരേ ടുക ദുരിതഹരേ കുംഭോദര വരദാ ജമുഖ
ശംഭുകുമാര ഗണപതി ഭഗവൻ
ശംഭകുമാര ഗണപതി ഭഗവൻ കുംഭോദര വരദാ जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम
सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जानकी जीवन रामा स्मर कोडि मनोज्ञ शरीरा
जय जानकी जीवन रामा स्मर कोडि मनोज्ञ शरीरा
मिथिलापति हृदय निवास मुनि मानस पद्म विहार
मिथिलापति हृदय निवासा मुनिमानस पद्म विहारा
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
वरदानन चंद्र चकोरा मरुदात्मज वंदित पादा
वरदानन चंद्र चकोरा मरुदात्मज वंदित पादा
धृत सायक चाप मनोज्ञा दशकंदर दर्प विनाश
धृतशायक चाप मनोज्ञा दशकंदर दर्प विनाशा
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय
जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
मधुभाषण मंगल सदना पदिदावन पावन चरणा
मधुभाषण मंगल सदना पतितावन पावन चरणा
सुख सागर सुंदर सुमुखा मृदुहास मनोहर वदना
सुख सागर सुंदर सुमुखा मृदुहास मनोहर वदना
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
रघुवंश शिरोमणि रामा चिर सौख्य विदायक रामा
रघुवंश शिरोमणि रामा चिर सौख्य विदायक रामा
मृति जन्म विमोचन रामा जय राघव जानकी रामा
मृति जन्म विमोचन रामा जय राघव जानकी रामा
जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम सीताराम जय जय राम
जय जय राम
जय जय Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram.
Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram Sitaram, Jai Jai Ram.
Everything has to increase and give me some more. This thing reverb. जननी आदंग शमनी आलोल नयने मा प्रेमार्द्र हृदये पूर्णेन्दु वदने पीयूष निलये मा आनंद जननी
आदंग शमनी आलोल नयने मा
जय मा
प्रेमार्द्र हृदये पूर्णेन्दु वदने पीयूष निलये मा
जय मामा जय 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 जय
मामा जय जय मामा जय जय मामा जय जय मामा जय जय मामा जय जय मामा जय जय
मनमोहनांगी मदिदानशीले मृदु जन्म रहिते मा मणिपूर निलये मृदुरम्य वचने मधुवर्ष निरते मा मधुवर्ष निरते मा
मनमोहनांगी मदिदानशीले मृदु जन्म रहिते
जय मा
मणिपूर निलये मृदुरम्य वचने मधुवर्ष निरते मधुवर्ष निरते
मामा जय जय मामा सुरवन्द्य चरणे कविगीत चरिते मा कैवल्य सदने काव्यादिरसिके कामेश दयिदे मा कामेश दयिदे मा शैलजादे हृदयेसि दुर्गे हेरम्ब जननी मा विश्वैकवन्दे वेदान्तवेद्ये वाग्देवी वरदे मा वाग्देवी वरदे मा
शैलजादे हृदयेसि दुर्गे हेरम्ब जननी
जय मा जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा
जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा
जय मा
मा मा मा जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा
मा मा मा जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा
जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा जय जय मा मा जय जय मा
मा मा मा जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 जय जय मा 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 अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलम् प्रणमदा मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलम् भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलम् सुकृतिना एकाश्रयी मङ्गलम् अमृतेश्वरी मङ्गलम् प्रणमदा मुक्तिप्रदे मङ्गलम् भुवनेश्वरी मङ्गलम् सुकृतिना एकाश्रयी मङ्गलम् हृदयेश्वरी मङ्गलम् हृदिलसत्तेजोमयी मङ्गलम् मृदुभाषिणी मङ्गलम् विजयदा प्रेमाग्रदे मङ्गलम् विजयदा प्रेमाकृते मङ्गलम् विजयदा प्रेमाकृते
Amen.
अमृतानन्दमयी प्रेम भक्ति संदायिनी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी शमदमदायिनी मनलयकारिणी अमृतानन्दमयी सततं मम हृदि वसदा देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी पतितोद्धार निरन्तर हृदये अमृतानन्दमयी परमहंस पदनिलये देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी हे जननी जनि मरण निवारिणि अमृतानन्दमयी हे सृत जन परिपालिनि जयदा अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी सुरजन पूजित जय जगदम्बा अमृतानन्दमयी सहज समाधिषु धन्ये देवी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी ॐ जय जय जगज्जननी वन्दे अमृतानन्दमयी मंगल आरती माधव भवानी अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी माता अमृतानन्दमयी। जय बोलो सद्गुरु माता अमृतानंदमयी देवी की जय। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि